We're just going to talk about mild spoilers, so we're not going to give away who dies.
Level 1 spoilers.
We're level 1 spoilers, so not really a big deal. Okay, so one of the things that's so great about this movie is that the reason they're going to the island is to cure all the McDonald's from heart disease by getting blood out of the biggest dinosaurs. And at one point in the movie, the nerdy guy looks at Scarlett Johansson and he's like, hey, what if we don't take the money from the evil pharmaceutical company and we open source?
Yeah, stick it to the man.
Yeah, and
I like that guy.
And Scarlett Johansson's like, oh, I'll have to think about it because 10 million's a lot of money.
Yeah, what about money though?
Yeah. And then 20 minutes later, Scarlett Johansson's like, all right, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. There
was no conflict.
Yeah.
It's like she talks throughout the first half of the movie of like, oh, I'm going to make so much money. And this is what they were trying to do, right? She mentions money all the time because she's supposed to be a greedy person. Mm-hmm. And she even does a little scheme to get paid more money from the evil pharmaceutical man early on in the movie. And then after people die, she's like, money, 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 money. But then there's no gears turn in her head to make her make the switch to, oh, let's give away all the blood.
Have you ever seen a Darman video?
No.
It's like he does these like really like cringy like moral dilemma videos. Not even that much moral dilemma, but it'll just be like someone's bullying someone and then they find out that the person that they were bullying is actually rich.
Kyle! Hey, Kyle! Isn't that the autistic kid that just transferred here?
Are you friends with him or something?
No. Why'd I be friends with a loser like that? You know, Mom was right. Autism isn't a disability. It's just a different ability.
This felt like that. This felt like greedy lady changes her mind. Greedy lady. Someone suggests to greedy lady to not be greedy. And she's like, you know what? Cool.
But you know what's funny about all of this? They had a point to make, which in these times, post-Luigi, was like an interesting thing to put in a mainstream blockbuster movie. Yeah. And you know what? I'll still give him credit for putting it in the movie.
Sure.
But like, you could have just done something with it, you know? You could have made it more of a central theme.
It wasn't much of a dilemma. It was just like a question was raised that then later on she'll answer the question.
Yeah.
That was it.
And
like they could have said at the beginning of the movie, like, do you want to go to IHOP after this? And then like later in the movie, she's like, yeah, do you want to go to IHOP? Like it was that.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah. Sure.
We need DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs.
Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
They had the whole thing with like the pharmaceutical guy pushed the older daughter.
No,
there was nothing wrong with that scene. He didn't do anything wrong there.
No, What?
All right, so here's the thing. They rescued these people that were on the boat or whatever, and, you know, I don't know. Is it right? Is it not right that they continued on their mission? But, like, they had everything under control. But the family didn't like it because it was scary to them. But the people who like had that boat, like they had it under control. You know, they were doing their mission. They were in the middle of doing their mission. So the girl's freaking out and calling for Mayday when there's nothing wrong happening. Everything's happening as planned. So then
Hannah.
What?
A man had just been eaten by a dinosaur. How is that going according to plan? And like, so the girl, rightfully so, was trying to say Mayday.
All right, fine. Either way, she pushes him down, and then she falls backwards. So he's laying down and sees her falling, but it still would have been difficult for him to get up, and there's no railing for him to hold on to.
No.
I think he would have been risking his own life. He would have fallen in too if he got up and he's like, give me your hand. It's like she shoved him down. That's why he's on the ground. So then she's like, he tried to kill me.
She was hanging off the side of the boat.
Yeah.
And then he was looking straight at her and making the conscious decision not to save her.
But even
That's
if he
the point
got
of that
up,
scene.
it wouldn't have been like an easy thing. Like if they wanted to make it so cut and dry, which they were acting like it was cut and dry, they could have made it seem like he could have easily helped her. He could have gotten up and looked at her. If there was a railing there, it would have been easier. But I was just thinking realistically, if that was like someone I loved and I was him, it would have been really difficult to save her.
If I was hanging off the side of that boat, would you still be laying down?
But like, what am I gonna do? There's
me
nothing to hold on to.
There was a railing next to her.
There wasn't a railing next to her.
You scare me sometimes.
Hey, do you want to go boating next weekend?
No.
Can I mention the T-Rex scene again?
Sure, what do you have to say about the T-Rex scene?
The T-Rex is sleeping on his back fine. She's trying to get the boat out fine. And then the T-Rex wakes up. And the family's on the other side of the river and they're like, come on. And then she's standing like right next to the T-Rex and she's like, I'm going to inflate the boat while he's right there drinking water. So then she does inflate the boat and then they all get into the boat. It's like he's right there. It's like they have all the time in the world. And like they were acting like the T-Rex like wouldn't be able to catch up to them. Like they were being so conspicuous. They could have laid low for a couple minutes. She could have stayed where she was. They could have stayed where they were, wait for the T-Rex to wander off.
Yeah.
It's like that all didn't have to happen while the T-Rex is like 10 feet away.
Yeah,
thinking like, oh no, the T-Rex is gonna notice that we're right. Yeah.
That's why it's a worse scene than the original.
I just feel like there's ways to, I don't know, put yourself in situations where dinosaurs are chasing you without making like the worst, stupidest decisions, because then that's distracting to me. You know?
Yeah, and that's the problem with action movies, but I'll tell you exactly why they did that. They had a cool little reveal of the T-Rex. He appeared out of nowhere because he was laying down in the field, so, you know, they didn't know he was there. It was a surprise.
And that's fine.
It's like for every decision that makes no sense, there's a reason they did it. I remember in Game of Thrones, that battle scene, the Battle of Winterfell, everyone's like, why did they charge at the White Walkers? Why didn't they just wait for him? I'm like, well, it's obvious, right? It's because you get to see 10,000 torches going into darkness, and then the torches go out one by one, and you're like, oh, fuck. They just killed the best troops, you know?
I guess, but I think, like, I don't know. Most people aren't thinking of it from a filmmaking perspective. They're thinking of it from, like, a what would I do in that situation perspective. So when I'm watching it, and I'm like, I would not be inflating the boat and helping my young family onto it while a T-Rex is 10 feet away. And these fucking idiots are doing that.
Hannah, you know, it's the struggle with all movies. It's that balance of logic and fun. You have to have a little bit of fun in there, because if everything is logical, it's going to be boring as hell. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a balance to it. Maybe it was a little bit off.
Yeah,
in the
and
beginning.
I think a lot of these things, like they could have gone back to the drawing board a little bit. Like, I believe in all these minor complaints. There is a way that they could have been like, you know what, that's a little stupid. What if we do it this way?
Sure. And there's one more thing we have to mention, speaking of stupid.
Okay.
The movie opens with the movie opens with a scene which is copying Alien Romulus, which is copying The Mist, which is probably copying a bunch of other things. Guy is trapped behind a window. There's a monster behind him. I love the look of that lab. It's like this like cool sci-fi white lab, and then when the lights go red, it's like pure red behind that window. It like looks like death before the monster even shows up.
But it had one weakness.
It had one slight weakness. A Snickers wrapper destroyed the entire security system of the high-tech facility, because the doors that are like 1 foot thick, they're inhaling air constantly.
Yeah. And then if it inhales anything, then the entire system goes offline and there is no security anymore.
There's no recourse, no backup system to make sure
There's
that...
no, like, just this one room fails. Like, no, the whole thing fails if one Snickers bar gets sucked into the door.
Well, it was a Snickers wrapper.
Sorry, yeah.
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 The door wasn't it when it was hungry.
Uh-huh. That was a good one.
So as silly as that was, again, I'm like, what are they gonna do to get to this moment where it's like quick and easy? And because you don't want a long drawn out 10-minute sequence where it's like, how did the facility get breached, you know?
And especially when Snickers will give them millions of dollars to say it was Snickers.
Right.
Easy.
But also it's like, you know, because my other thought process was like, all right, logically, probably the only way something bad would happen is if the dinosaur is the one responsible, you know? The dinosaur goes apeshit, starts like banging against the door. But then you lose the awesome suspense and the reveal of the shadow of the dinosaur creeping up behind the guy. So, you know, I don't think there is a good way to do it.
Yes, there's better ways to do it than that. What if that guy was making hard eyes at the girl? He's flirting with the girl, and then we see him forget to do a piece of his protocol. And that's what makes the dinosaur able to escape.
I think...
So then the dinosaur gets out.
No. Because you need the facility to go into lockdown mode. Because you get the creepy lighting that way. Everyone's running away. It builds tension. So you need it to get into lockdown mode.
All right, well then someone else notices the dinosaur's getting out, so they hit the button for lockdown mode. There's a big button on the wall that says press if emergency. So someone sees a dinosaur and they're backing up and they hit it. I'm just saying, there's other things they could have done to put themselves in these situations that aren't as dumb as the door sucks in a candy wrapper and then the whole place ceases to be.
That was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might have been a better way to do it. It's funny, like, you like The Substance. That's like one of your favorite movies. And is it just not stupid because they don't explain anything? Is that what makes it not dumb?
The rules work within the you know. Let me try that sentence again.
No, that's staying in.
Everything flows within the It works. It works within the story. And yeah, sometimes I do think it's better when movies don't try to give you a long backstory as to how we got here. I do appreciate that.
But I'm just saying that from the to your point.
Don't slander The Substance.
I'm just trying to say that if I wanted to say that The Substance was stupid, because we're throwing that word around a lot here.
Well, then you would be wrong.
Then I would say, how did Demi Moore survive the young girl coming out of her back? You know?
Substance.
Why wasn't she birthed through her vagina?
That's just not how it works. That's how you birth a baby.
How did she come out of the back and then they just sewed the back together?
They sewed it back together.
Why wasn't that explained in the video?
I feel like
in the Substance video, why weren't they like, hey, by the way, I hope you know how to stitch people because...
I feel like that falls within the realm of, like, I'm believing that there's dinosaurs. Like...
Okay, you know what? You're right.
But it's just, like, small motives that get people from, like, A to B. If it could so easily be something less stupid, I'm like, why didn't they just make it less stupid?
I guess sometimes you need to show how a thing happens, and sometimes you don't. But if you have to show it, you have to make it kind of make sense. Yeah. I guess that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah.